It is just a hair after 4:30. I apologize. Trying to get stuff going through. Thank y'all for being here for the work session for our first October meeting on October 7th. I appreciate you coming. We are doing things a little bit different for the department heads that have been sweating all day saying what you had to talk about. Since we do have the employee benefits and health insurance update coming today, if we have time after that's finished, we may open it up if y'all have some updates that you want to, but since we'll be meeting again in 2 weeks for department heads, we'll let you guys come back in 2 weeks to give your department head updates, or if we have time, if Matt moves quickly, then we'll get you up here to speak after that. But so there's a chance that we'll kind of lay low on those, but we need to make sure you have health insurance next year, or we all want that. General discussion wise, and this is a couple things we'll go over in the regular meeting as well. Halloween's coming up on October 31st. We get a ton of questions on trick-or-treating that they call the county. I did confirm with the city when they were going to participate and do trick-or-treating so that we make sure that we're matched up. They are actually going to do trick-or-treating in downtown on Halloween day from 4 to 6, which even though it's a Sunday on the 31st, they are going to do it downtown from 4 to 6. So we'll extend until 8 p.m. for what we say is the official time for trick-or-treating on Halloween. So on Sunday, October 31st, that will be going on. For department heads, this really doesn't necessarily apply to you, but we will have the budget hearing for elected officials and appointed officials and all those coming up on October the 19th. Those are going to be an all-day thing starting at 8:30 in the morning. The schedule has been sent to each of the elected officials and to each of the appointed heads of their respective groups to come in. I know that as department heads, you've been meeting with the budget committee and working through yours as well, but for the elected and appointed side, those will be coming up for the boards and authorities. So the 19th will be a full day from 8:30 till 5 with one meeting after another, but we're finally wrapping the budget up there. So as far as general discussion topics, I know we've mixed the agenda up a little bit doing that first, but I want to make sure we had time to get through anything. Do either of you have any other general discussion that you want to go through? Okay. Tate Depot update. We've got that on there. I'm going to have Miss Denny open that up for us, and we'll get an update on that.
Okay. Valerie, would you come up first, please? Okay, we have been lucky to hire this lady to work with us on the Tate Depot. Valerie has been a resident of Pickens County since 1994. She's a graduate of Auburn University School. This is her 35th year practicing as a commercial interior designer. The majority of her work has been in Atlanta, 27 years as UPS's senior designer for their corporate headquarters in Sandy Springs and other UPS sites in the Atlanta area. More recently, you've been accepting projects in Jasper, which include Trinity Church of Marble Hill, the Pickens Progress, and multiple home renovations. And your goal is to focus on projects in this area, partnering with local businesses to enhance and improve their work environment.
Thank you, Becky.
You're welcome.
Thank you, everybody. I'm Valerie Bates. For those who don't know me, I was asked to come and give an update on the Tate Depot, and I don't know how much they know about the project. Anything? Okay. I have a few notes. For those who don't know, the Tate Depot is located, of course, in Tate. It was relocated several years ago, and it has been standing empty. And a lot of people want to know what can we do with the depot. Recently, a wonderful gentleman that is a resident of Pickens County, his name is Bill Gibson, has donated an extensive train display to the county and that is currently in his home at Big Canoe, and it is quite impressive for those who don't know about it. The Progress did an article on him a while back, so you can do research on the internet and you can find the article, and it has great pictures. But it's a train set, very detailed, very impressive, that will take up a good sized portion of the building. So what they have tasked me to do is to bring the building up to I guess code or accessibility for the public, and that will entail certain things to be happening to the depot. Mostly it's cosmetic, but we will be doing some infrastructure. We're going to do some heating and air conditioning. We're going to add some electrical, some lighting. We're going to add a chairlift for handicap accessibility, and we are going to have some other things such as flooring, insulation, minor interior construction, and wall finishes. My goal is not to change the aesthetics of the depot. There won't be at this time any changes to the exterior of the building. So the interior we want to keep and maintain that character that's already there. So we're going to build on what we already have, which is really a beautiful backdrop. So I've been working with Becky and the commissioners and proposing layouts for this, and right now I'm at the stage of getting quotes for all the subcontractors. And I've met with everyone in all those different fields, and I'm about 90% complete getting the quotes together. Right now the goal is to have all those quotes presented to the commissioners by the end of October, and depending on how long they take to review and issue purchase orders, we can get the work started soon after that. So that is what I have. I don't know if that's everything you expected, but
That's wonderful, and we're so grateful to have you. And another thing, she is a sister of the owner of the Tate drugstore.
Bell's Family Farms.
Yeah, with Bell's family. Yeah.
So we have a presence in Tate. We'd like to keep, you know, the area growing, and so many people stop into the pharmacy every weekend and ask, "What's at the depot? What's at the depot?" People come up to see Gibbs Gardens. They come to Amicaloa Falls. They're up for weddings and various things, and everyone wants to stop and know more about the Tate Depot. So it's a good opportunity for our county to display some. I think you have some Kennesaw State artwork that's going to be presented in the depot that's historical to the area, and just more information about the area and the marble. And so I think it's a great addition. I'm very excited to be a part of it. It's going to be a beautiful project when we're finished.
Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Sure, no problem.
Thank you, Val. So for anybody that doesn't know, some of the funding from the American Rescue Plan, there was designation from the board whenever the allotment came through to designate some to finish that tourism project and to make that a reality. So that was how we were able to get the ball rolling there. Ms. Denny's been working with the committee in Tate for quite some time to get it. I was really excited to have Valerie until she was giving her introduction just now, which reminded me of one more announcement on the calendar as you're scheduling this Saturday at 3:30.
Oh, thank you.
The University of Georgia will be playing the Auburn Tigers in a football battle. So I think it's on CBS. It'll be the game of the day for you to lock in and see.
Well,
So,
just to clarify, Auburn's architecture program, Georgia doesn't have one, so they
okay.
didn't even come into this. They weren't even in the ring.
So, okay, all right, we'll let that one. But thank you. I think she's doing a great job going there. So the next item we have on our agenda is to have, I'm gonna have Ms. Paula introduce Matt, but it's to go over our health insurance renewal and employee benefits. So, you dive in.
We started out looking at the 2022 insurance renewal several weeks back, working with Matt with MSI Benefits, the broker. And after a review of our claims and prescription drug costs, it was evident that we needed to do something to help with our prescription drug costs. And through MSI Benefits, we received several proposals, one from Cigna, one from Anthem, and one for Trustmark for the renewal for 2022. And Anthem's proposal come in the lowest, and they also done something unusual, as Matt can explain. They allowed us to carve out our pharmacy benefit, which means that we'll be able to use a different pharmacy benefit manager called Veracity that's expected to give us a significant savings to the county on prescription drug costs, as well as it's going to have some benefits for the employees, and they're going to have lower copays on generic drugs and some of the specialty drugs as well, as long as they work with the networks and the pharmacy benefit managers. And there will not be any changes with the proposed plan with Anthem that in the employee deductions or the deductibles or the out-of-pocket costs. And that's pretty much the summary, and it would be my opinion that, you know, I hate to go any other way but Anthem, but I've got Matt Bidwell here from MSI Benefits Group, and he can go over that with y'all. Thank you. You're welcome.
Come on up, man.
Thank you.
And I have to apologize, my hearing is terrible. And so I may have to ask you to scream. You going to stand up here and talk?
No.
Thank you so much. And I'll kind of do this. How's that? I'm gonna move around. Just kidding. If we could go to page 2, I'd like to talk about the financials on this. And when you really look at your medical insurance, you want to look at it over the last 12 months. And over the last 12 months, if you look at the very middle column, I'm going to put my finger on it right here. The actual claims that have been paid on behalf of county employees has been $4.3 million in 12 months. We buy an insurance policy that if anything's over $100,000, the insurance pays that claim for us, and they have paid out almost $700,000 in insurance claims. So our net cost has been $3.6 million. And these are just pure claims. It does not count the administrative costs that are associated with it. And when we give you an estimate on insurance, we give you an expected cost and we give you a maximum cost. And right now we're running right at our maximum cost levels. And when we met back in August, it was real clear that a big portion of the problem that we're having is pharmacy driven. And so if you could go to page 3, we're asking you all to use this company, and they call themselves, it's Veracity. And I don't know if you all are familiar with another company by the name of ProCare, but they are a pharmacy benefit manager in Gainesville, Georgia. A lot of the North Georgia groups use them. A lot of the groups in Georgia use them. They have over 400 employees, and they have partnered with Veracity. And so when you see it in the literature coming up, it's going to say Veracity powered by ProCare, and you're going to go, what is that? But it's basically, Veracity is a management company for pharmacy that have put together a very attractive package using ProCare as our PBM. And in essence, just to try to get to the meat, and I'll explain this a little bit more, but under Cigna for the last 12 months, we've had just over 1 million in claims. And had we had the Veracity program in place, our claims would have been just at 500,000. That's a pretty remarkable difference in claims. And they do it through a number of different reasons, and we have them outlined on top. We got the contract, we've got preferred, non-preferred pharmacies, and there's a number of things up there. But I want to talk about, just like for example, when your pharmacy, and I'm going to, this goes for Cigna, it goes for Anthem, it goes for Aetna, it goes for United Healthcare. Those are your 4 major insurance companies. All 4 of them have commonality of ownership with their pharmacy managers. And so when I'm sitting there, and I don't care who I'm with, this is not directed toward any of them, it's directed toward all of them. When I'm with them and they're telling me my pharmacy cost is real expensive, well, they're in ownership with that guy. And this is what happens when your pharmacy manager charges me for a drug. They may be telling me that drug costs $10, but they may have only paid $6 for it. They do what they call step-up pricing. And so I've got one hand telling me my pharmacy is real expensive, it's the pharmaceutical company, but the manager who's managing all that, which is owned by the insurance company, is putting stepped-up pricing on every prescription I fill. And so ultimately, this was not directed toward any one carrier, it goes toward all of them. And so these pharmacy specialty companies are coming up and they're trying to attack it. So the contract that we're going to have with them is that they can't give us any step-up pricing. They have to charge us exactly what the drug costs. And they put in a $4 charge per drug. And I don't know how many of you all here have used I don't care if it's Anthem, I don't care if it's Cigna. You go into a grocery store and they tell you if you don't use your insurance card, the drug's cheaper. Mm-hmm. Go to GoodRx and the drug comes in cheaper. That's because of the stepped-up pricing. When you go with this new program, what you're going to find out is that this is going to be less than GoodRx because there's no buildup in the cost. And so that's just a portion of what they're doing. Now the other thing they're doing, which I think is important for local government, is that a lot of the large national companies, and I'm talking CVS, Walgreens, Believe it or not, Walmart, all the Target, all the national companies have more bargaining powers with these national carriers, and on average, their dispensing fees on generic drugs is $15 to $20 more on average per prescription than what it needs to be. So we're going to put in a preferred pharmacy program that applies only to generic drugs. If you go to Jasper Pharmacy, or if you go to a regional grocery store, and when I say regional, I'm talking Ingles, Kroger, Publix, because they're not national, they don't have the bargaining power that the larger boxes, and our dispensing fees there on a generic drug is $15 to $20 less. And so what we're going to propose the county do is that if you get your generic drug filled at any of the local store, pharmacies or grocery store, the maximum fill cost is $5 on a generic, but if you want to go somewhere else like Walgreens or CVS, you could pay up to $20. And that pricing is it's solely based on the doggone dispensing fees that are charged on those drugs. And so that in and of itself is saving us over $40,000 in dispensing fees next year. And there's other parts of the program, I'm not going to get into all of them, but a lot of the real expensive drugs that you see on TV, it's what I call, if you watch Andy Griffin enough, you see all the old people watch that show and you see all the drugs that they advertise. Well, a lot of those drugs, you can get them directly from the manufacturers at no cost. And the big pharmacy companies, and I'm talking the Aetnas, the Cignas, because they're in such close proximity to those PBMs, and because they're the ones who are really getting a lot of those rebates off those drugs, they don't want to upset that apple cart. But these smaller PBMs, they don't have any fight in the game. So we feel that just by making the pharmacy change, we're going to save you all about $500,000, which is a significant amount of money. So when I go to page 4, and I've tried to put this in English, but I'll say it this way. Right now our current net cost with Cigna for this year was $3.8 million. And if indeed we've renewed with them, they think it's going to go to about 3.9. Well, we think by making the change and going with Anthem using ProCare, we're going to be able to save about $357,000 by doing that. If we go with Trustmark, which is actually using an Aetna network and the same pharmacy benefit manager, we would save about $250,000. And upon discussing it with staff, we think that the employees have a better familiarity with Anthem, and they would probably feel a little bit better getting an Anthem card back, and I think that's maybe one of the deciding factors. But what we're recommending is to move toward Anthem using the ProCare Veracity pharmacy benefit. And then my last slide is page 5. We did shop your all's basic life insurance, and before we knew what we were doing with the medical benefits, we actually got our best proposal from Anthem. It's about 30% below what you're currently paying. It would take your life insurance cost from $14,000 down to $9,000 a year, and we recommend you accept that also. So, in a nutshell, I'll be quiet, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to address them.
I just want to say good job. That you did a lot of research on that, obviously.
Thank you.
And good job.
We have 6 county governments moving to this for January 1.
Yeah. Next.
Any questions, anything that's on there? I know he came in and have met a couple different times, but I sat in when he came in the first time, and I have to admit I was a skeptic in some of the plans, because anytime somebody says they can save you that much money in one program, it's kind of hard to believe. But by the time he came back with specific examples the second time, I joked with him and said, well, you actually won me over in the second run. So,
Well, you know, I always say I don't have a dog in a fight. I don't want to say I don't care, but I just basically, you got to do what's comfortable.
Right.
And I tell you, we weren't comfortable with this until we put a couple of groups with this year, and both of them are just ecstatic. And that's why we have so many other county governments. And I will say this, Anthem was not on the table to do this because they have a hard set policy that they will not let a group under 500 employees carve out the pharmacy. And they finally relented and said, well, okay, we'll let you do Pickens County. And I got 2 other counties under 500 lives, they're letting it do it because they know that what we're doing, they've looked at what we're doing and they can't poke any holes in it and they say, look, we want their business and we understand why you're doing it, okay.
So what we'll do, if it's okay with you guys, when we go into our regular meeting following this one for the voting meeting, we'll bring this up as an agenda item at the end and move forward. The contracts still haven't been, until we agree, they're not gonna provide us the contract, so basically the essential vote would be to determine which course of action and then authorizing the signature of those when they come.
Your real contract is with ProCare, and we sent you the administrative contract for Anthem, and these are, it's more like an insurance policy you're buying. And on the ProCare contract, I can get that up to y'all tomorrow. And again, they're gonna let you amend it any way you want to. I think what we see most of our local governments do is they wanna make sure if there's any dispute, it has to be handled locally. They don't want you going to New Jersey to fight them in court. But outside of that, we haven't seen anybody wanna make any major changes on the contract. But I'll be able to get that over to y'all tomorrow. And if you do wanna amend it, they're pretty easy to work with.
Okay, and that'll get us to where we can get to an open enrollment stage next month to hopefully get people signing up. So, thank you.
You got time for your
Thank you.
staff?
Thank you very much. All right, so don't have anything else on the agenda. I do want to give an opportunity, if there is a department, I know that I love speaking at these meetings. If there is one that has an update that you really need, that doesn't need to wait for 2 weeks, I want to give you that opportunity to speak for sure. I figured you would all be tackling each other, trying to jump up whenever I made that comment. Christy was the one I was the most nervous about.
Hey, Chris.
Yes.
I just wanted to let you guys know that with the property taxes, we were able to get everything, to get an earlier, the original due date. We are able, this time last year, the tax bills were just now going out. And so we were at a zero amount of taxes collected. So far, because we collect for the county and for the school, we are at almost 4 million collected as of 4/15 today. So that's like, compared to last year, it's zero. So it's good that we got the date moved up. So
Yeah.
so back to the original.
Back to the original, I think is the good. I know a lot of people were asking questions in the paper as to why the due date changed, and we just got it in time. I know
Yes,
that
exactly.
they worked real close with the tax assessor's office, and when it got to us, we voted on it fairly quick. So I think that's an incredible thing. With having a January 1 fiscal year, it makes it a little bit more challenging on funding county government if you don't get those out on time. So that's awesome. Thank you. And then you got to collect for a week with no phones and only a little bit of internet. I know that story is kind of hit. I think the newspaper actually ran it this week, and then we've talked to quite a few people. But we had a few, like a combination of things that went down. One server went down that caused something else to go down, and then when they tried to bring one thing back up, another device within the network was trying to take over and assign the phone's IP addresses. So it ended up affecting not only our facility, the courthouse, and the sheriff's office. There were 3 buildings that were down for a grand total of 3 days before they were ever, because every time they would fix one issue, another device would go down as well. So for everybody that's watching that tried to call during those 3 days, we weren't providing that poor of service. We just weren't getting your phone call. We tried for the ones that are on Facebook to notify constantly through social media that things were going on, but we know that the vast majority, probably the ones that were calling or trying to pay their tax bills, are not the ones that are sitting at home on social media refreshing that. So as soon as we got back up, Facebook went down. So we just tested the water. But thank you all for coming. I know it's close to 5 o'clock. We'll have our 5:30 regular board meeting that'll be coming up pretty soon. So at 4:55, we'll adjourn from this work session.